Right, welcome back to Delboy's Garage. Now today I just want to get back into some proper work. I want to do a little repair job on the Bandit. I've been noticing the last few days coming home from work that there's a hot, petrol-y, fuel-y, fumey smell permeating the garage, and as the garage is attached to the house, it's permeating the kitchen and into the house. You can smell petrol fumes from the sort of heat coming up from the engine, and it's a pretty time-honoured thing. I've had it a few times before. Suzuki fuel taps on the old carburetted bikes, they do tend to have a lifespan of probably about 40-50,000 miles, and then the little rubbers in the fuel taps do eventually just start to weep. There's nothing much you can do about it, but the kits are quite inexpensive, so we've got a seal kit, and today's job is to take the fuel tap out of the Bandit tank and to re-kit it with a new seal kit and to put it back in so I don't get that stinky anymore and I get moaned at by Penny Pit Stop for stinky fuel in the house. So there we go, stick around, stay tuned, and I'll show you how we do it. Okay, first thing is get the tank up off the bike. Fuel tap is the tap on the left hand side that you turn for reserve, and if you've got that kind of bike with a fuel tap, there are methods of getting to it. This isn't really so much about physically getting to your bike or taking it to pieces or taking the bike to bits. It's about getting the tap dealt with, and I like to think that most of these videos I'm dealing with a generic subject. This hopefully will be the same repair, more or less the same principle of repair on any bike that's got a fuel tap. Now obviously the biggest consideration is you've got to turn the tank up on its side because the tap is on the left. As the tap sits on the left hand side of the tank, I've drained it down until it's on reserve. On reserve is 5 litres, 4.5 litres of fuel. So it still contains a fat gallon in there, and it's to be respected because you can spill it. So what I tend to do is leave the tank cap done up, run it down as I have to reserve, and pick the tank up and put it on its side. That means that the tap, which is on the left, as you look at it, is then uppermost and free of the fuel quantity. You can drain the tank out completely, but I'm just a lazy tow rag and I can't be bothered. This particular tank, I'm quite lazy, and I've got this wrap finish. So as you can see, this kind of scrim net with the blackboard paint, which is rock hard. It's like a Kevlar finish, so you can't really hurt it. But if you've not obviously got a painted finish and you don't want your painted finish getting buggered up, then I would suggest just some blankets or something if you're going to do it this way, because it works quite well for me, to just lay it on its side. But if you want to keep yours nice, just protect the area with something soft. Just dealing with the little bits and bobs that connect the tank on. That's the fuel tap, or the fuel sender gauge wire. Nope, not coming out. Now obviously the easiest way to leave that connected. So just remember where that is, got to go back on afterwards. And the next fun one is the tank. Oddly enough, on the Bandit, the tank tap itself, the tap handle is below the frame, and that fouls on there. That being the tap there that you turn, that fouls on there, you can't lift it off, so you just got to take the actual tap handle off, and it's a Phillips screwdriver right down its eye. Oh, I miss it. And then take it off. Okay, that's just the tap handle, little square end in it, storing everything up in the tail for ease of access and use. Now there's a little hose under there as well, little overflow tube, take that off, and then your tank is all but free. Now the only thing remaining then is 2 more hoses. I've already pulled one off inadvertently. That's a vacuum hose. The vacuum hose sucks through the process of vacuum, it sucks the tap open. This is a vacuum tap effectively, so you need that to go back on at the end, and pulling this up, it's taken that off. Then there's the actual fuel feed hose there. So I'm going to turn it on its side. If the vac isn't being, if the engine isn't running, the vac isn't working, therefore there's no fuel's going to come out. So there's a fuel hose off, and the tap is ready to go. So you probably can't see it very well.
Oh, it's a bit dark.
Just a little residue there. Right, there we go. So if you've, like I said, if you've got the tank like this on your bike that's got nice shiny paint and you don't want to get it all mecked up, just put a blanket or something under it and protect it. What you might want to do, which works for me sometimes, is just 4 or 5 layers of masking tape. That works quite well because it's quite squishy, quite absorbent, and it will protect it, or duct tape or frog tape or whatever you choose to use, over the side of the tank, and then you can lay on there. So that's just logistics, get over that. So here's your tap, and this is exactly what's causing the residue. I'm not going to get my finger in it, because that stuff, when you get it on you, it's kind of desiccated fuel, if you like, or concentrated fuel, and it absolutely stinks. It really does. And it's all this grime that's oozing out the tap, and it's causing like a thick deposit of putty or sort of grease. It is, yeah, it's quite sticky. Stale fuel stinks pretty bad, and I've always said just be careful with it, because it's still flammable and quite nasty. What I'm going to do with this is, just for the sake of a bit of safety, just going to bungee that in place so it can't fall over and fall on my head. So a couple of bungees there will just stop if it goes anywhere. Next thing is to get that out. Now, fortunately, the design's pretty clever. You get kind of clear access to these 2 screws which hold the tap in. If they're a bit tight and you can't get them undone, they are bolt heads as well. They're kind of bolt screws, and that works quite well if you put a socket on it instead. So here we are, one fuel tap out. Now the fuel tap's got a gauze on the top, so be careful as you withdraw it, madam. It's quite long, and that little gauze, there's a little gauze there that stops any particles getting in, so be careful not to damage that as you take it out. Obviously you can see this is the fuel one and this is the reserve one. So if you don't understand what a fuel tap does, and I can't imagine anybody who wouldn't, it draws through here normally. When that fuel there cuts off, that gets to this knuckle, and that's a solid brass tube. When the fuel gets to there, the fuel runs out. So you turn the tap to reserve and it starts allowing fuel to come out of this lower half. And that's basically how it works, which is pretty straightforward. You don't need to know that. Right, taking those out of the way, take to the bench. Okay, now, before we take the tap apart, here's a new kit. You can buy these on the Tinterweb, very cheap. This was £20 just about, and it's a full rebuild kit for a Suzuki Bandit fuel tap. And just going to pull it out of the bag. This kit is the, as it says here, it's the Fuck 21 kit. So you can order the Fuck 21 kit if your tap is fucked. So come on in, Pen, let's have a look what's in the kit. Let's see what's in the bag. It's handy to sort of check out the bag first. You've got a little diaphragm there, a very soft rubber diaphragm. That's protected by a cardboard layer, so that there. A couple of new screws which we've just taken out. What looks like new washers for them there. Obviously these are a soft, squishy nylon, so we'll use those as well. That's the gasket that goes up against, because it could be weeping out of there. You don't know, and that's the great thing. You get everything in the kit, and a new spring. Now these kits are devised by people who've done it enough times to know that that's what you need, and what is leaking there that's gone wrong will be one of these things. It may not be all of it, it may only be some of it. It's sometimes got some fuel left. It's a messy old job and it stinks. So in a well ventilated area, and we get a decent screwdriver. Now what I like to do with these, they are quite, sometimes these little set screws can be a bit stubborn after a few years. There we are. And it doesn't hurt to pop a decent fit, a good fitting Phillips screwdriver in, give it a few taps just to get it seated right in the bottom of the screw. Right on, mate. Come on in close. Now, giving it a good clean up with the brake cleaner and a toothbrush. It's a little bit cleaner now. So I'm just going to disassemble and take the faceplate off. Now I kind of hold things on as tightly as you can. while you take the screws out, and then let it undo it gently, because things tend to ping and then land in another dimension. You never see them again, believe it. Anyone who's ever had that knows what I mean. Okay, just take this face off gently. The easiest way, now, and I've never had a Bandit tap apart, so I wouldn't know what anatomy is in here, but if it ain't in that kit, I can't replace it, so I'm just going to replace everything that's in the kit and hope that that does the job, which it should. That's the next bit. And now I'm going to just take this face off, see what lies within. Right, and the final screw now. Held that in. Keep an eye. Gradually, just watch, because there's a spring in there involved somewhere, and springs like to ping. Nice to see that it's clean in there. I've got a little rubber. Now what it seems there is, looking at this, it's a bit of a composite thing. We've got two rubbers there, and the same on that one, and there's a little plastic thing in between, so I'm going to have to take these apart, and then I think this probably comes into two halves. O-ring off the back, presumably that seals. And that's how it comes apart, just by pulling it through. Simple as that. So that's the way it went on, that way, with the little nipple on the top. So holding it orientated as it came out. That's the old one. That's good. We'll start rebuilding that now. So that's ready to install. So we'll pop that one there. So what you seem to have to do is feed this diaphragm, fiddly. And this is the kind of thing that I would suggest if you went to your dealer, they'd probably charge you for a new tap. They'd probably just sell you a new tap. But there's no need to buy one, because you can buy the kit for 20 quid, and it's just a case of being careful at your own light. And very carefully, it's so thin, that rubber, just gently feed it through. It's kind of a bit of a there you go, feel as you go. That's already got the rubber around it on the new one, so that old one can all go, and that's ready to use. It's ready to reinstall, so we'll put that over that side. That's the old dead one. Now there's nothing in there to come out. Done the top one. There's a bit of crud in there which is built up. You know, always looking for the cause of these problems. That could well be. This is just corrosion and crap out of your fuel. This sits in the core, so in the actual fuel quantity. So that's rust from the inside of your tank that's built up, and it just possibly is what's then got under the seal, a little bit like a brake seal, and caused it to leak. Just blow that out. I wouldn't use an airline on it, because they're quite delicate, these little gauzes. Just gently with a screwdriver, just wipe around the base, get the worst of that free, and then blow it out of the way, making the groove, baby, that the seal goes in as clean as you can. Loosen everything that's in there with a little bit of scrape of that, and then blow it clear. There it is. Alright, we'll do a bit of re-arse assembly now. Even little things like this, there's little tiny plastic, like little plastic nipple there on that board, which the rubber seal goes over. So it's a bit fiddly. I'm going to do a little bit of fiddly with this to get it installed. Okay. pop that back on. Making sure these two little plastic spikes are through. I'm just going to pop that back in very gently. That's it. And the new spring. You look at the new spring, which is wider coiled than the old spring. They're the same length, but as anyone who knows springs will know that less coils is stronger. It's more resistance than more coils. So that's going to be a stronger spring, which will give us a bit better resistance, and that pushes. This is the vacuum. So when the vacuum sucks on there, that sucks that valve open, which allows the fuel to come out. So I ain't going to bother with too much explanation on that. That's just how it works. And there we are. There that goes. It is fiddly. In the little recess in the middle there. There we are. Feel that pop into place. Right, need your hand. Need a hand, Ben. Right, what I need to do, because where this kit has been in the box, I need you to just hold that down like that until I wedge it. So, spring on there, a bit further out, right on the outer edge. That's it. See, it pays to have a penny pit stop camera girl with a steady hand.
Multitasking.
There you go, tap, got it. Get wedged. All we do is pop screws back in and tighten this side of it up. That's the diaphragm dealt with. Now I didn't have any problems with the diaphragm. The tap was opening and closing nicely. No real problems with it, but that will be at least assurance that had there been any issues with that, there won't be now. Okay, just nip them up. They're only into soft alloy and they're stainless screws, so...
Not too tight, monkey boy.
Thanks. We're getting that predictable. Right. Okay, now that's the diaphragm replaced in the back. That draws open to actually open the tap. Now on this side, I'm going to pull this out, which is the tap head, and inside there
There's a face.
like Wallace and Gromit, smashing, and that's that in there. Simple as that. So I'm going to replace that. There's a little cap seal in there which comes out, and interestingly enough, that seal is very stretchy and the new one is not, and also the old one is bigger, which I think that's perished a bit, or it's deteriorated, it's gone all jelly like. It could have been weeping out there, but there we are. So again, improvised seal pick. Gradually take that out. It's the old dead one. As looking at it, it's equal sided, so there's no sides to it. And again, oddly enough, when you feel them, that one's like jelly and all squishy and soft, and this one is tight. You know, scream. Sorry.
You're making me joggle.
That's one of the pleasures I get these days, making Penny joggle. Right, put the new seal in the back. And as you can see, the way it works is the little smiley on the bottom comes round and feeds through this hole. And when you turn your fuel tap round, it's feeding on these two top holes which come out the reserve side. So it's with the, when I took this apart, that's with that uppermost. And then just to seal that, the new rubber seal around the outside of the drum plate or face plate. And then just ease that in gently, obviously ensuring that none of the seal ends up sticking out. So just feed it in. It's just a little compression seal, there you go. And make sure with your fingers that That moves, actually that's a nice action. That moves quite smoothly. Smooth action, babies. Right, now that was definitely had a lot of cack under here, so it's quite likely that that seal is knackered, which is what could have been it, just that one, but you can't buy the one. Faceplate goes on that way. Squeeze that in up. That obviously faceplate just covers that up, holds all that gubbins in. There we are. Again, these screws, that thread is just weeny, absolutely weeny, so don't lean on them. Just a little bit of pressure, just nip it up, because this plate doesn't hold. This is not a sealing pressure plate, otherwise it would have sort of 6 screws around it. It's just a plate that holds that in. Once that's in, it's all sealed. So there we go. Finally, pop the new seal over the top. That's the seal that seals against the tank face itself. What petrol does, yeah. And that's it. We're ready. We're going to use the new screws and the new plastic seals. Bung it back in the tank. Okay, back to the tank. Tap's all ready. But just check this out. Now this is the next. Obviously, it might have been weeping around there. We see a lot of fuel spillage around there. And this tank, see that? That's all coming off. That has never been painted, this tank. It's never had any paint stripper on it, and yet that is all seemingly peeling off or flaking off like it's had nitrogen loss. So let's take off the worst, because obviously it's only ever gonna, if there's any disruption in that surface, it's gonna leak. So sharp scraper, get it nice and sealed. Now if you want to paint that and then rub it down and do that, you can do that. It's entirely up to you how good you want to make it. But this being a rat bike, that is good enough. Now another little tricklet that works. I get a lot of people, I don't use red rubber lube because I'm not fancy. Petroleum jelly. For seals, rubber seals, you absolutely can't beat it. It's completely inert. Like red rubber lube, it will not hurt your seals. I get everyone whining at me when I've used grease on a rubber seal or something. They whine on that it perishes the seals, yeah, whatever. It doesn't in the long term, or sorry, in the short term, but then if you really want to be sure of something completely inert, you can't beat Vaseline. It works brilliantly. Now all that will do is allow the seal, because you're going to put a seal against that, a kind of circular rubber seal. Now nice and greasy. Now the rubber seal then spreads, so when you squash the seal, it allows it to spread to its natural height, and I'm talking about that seal there. So as I push that seal onto that surface, it will spread out and it will do a good job of sealing. You gently lead it in. Hold that against. Take my new screws from the kit. Okay, there we go. So we just screw the tap in and we are done. That is pretty much it, buttoned up. You tap in again. You shouldn't have to wind these in to a daft pressure. And if you mince the thread on the captive nut that's inside the tank, well, need I even tell you the grief you're going to have then. Just wrist tight so you don't do them up. It's more important that they're the same than that they're tight, if that makes sense. And I've done both of those. That's as tight as they need to be. What I'm going to do is my little fave trick. Absolutely love to do this with nuts and bolts at all times. A little bit of marker paint. Take a favourite nail varnish and just dab it on that outside face there. So if that screw turns in a counterclockwise direction and starts undoing itself, you're going to see that as I look under the bike, I'm going to see those two faces. If they've moved, I'll spot it straight away, and they will not, because I did them up proper. And that's it. Now we can't do anything else up till we get the tank back down. Can't put the tap back on until it's in place. So bungees away, Ginger. Get the tank back down. Now Remember, we got these two hoses here. That one there is the fuel feed, and that one is the vacuum. The vacuum goes on the small, that sucks that diaphragm across and opens the tap in the first place, and the fuel feed goes on there. Now you're going to introduce the fuel back into the tap as you lean this down. So gently does it. Keep an eye on it. Just hold it up while it's free. Make sure visually looking up under there, there's no fuel leaking out of the joint that you've just done up there. Nope, that looks good. Says you're taking it all back off again. God, 5 litres of fuel is quite a lot still. Right, as everyone knows, faffing around with tanks is a ball ache. Right, fuel hose right home, all the way as far as it will go, right up till it knuckles against the elbow. Blimey, knuckles and elbows. Last video we had fruit. Wonderful. And just bring that, by squeezing it together, bring it over and put it this side of the little blob that's at the end so it doesn't come off. Then just get a little screwdriver in there, just rotate that a little bit in there to squeeze that apart so it grips. That's that one. This one coming up from underneath, here we are, that's the vac hose. You see it?
Yeah.
Back hose goes on. Right, that doesn't have any clips on it, it just goes on. That's cool. You'll soon know if that ain't working because you'll get no fuel feed. Push it back on. Now you may not have a Bandit, you may have another bike, and I'm hoping that this video is going to be a little bit universal for those who've got any number of different bikes. The idea being that you could see the principle of getting a seal kit and undoing the tap bit by bit and replacing each seal. Just putting the sender unit clip back on. God, yeah. That's right. 2 pairs of hands. That's what apprentices are for normally. There we are. Now, whichever bike you own, like I said, it should be easy enough to do this yourself at home, and it's not an expensive job, I would imagine, to do. That's it, back on. So while I'm just buttoning that up, the screw again. The main point here is to make sure that you've got it clean. You've got the tap, all of the rubbers that you've got in the kit replaced. Let's tap back on, by the way. That's it. And everything's done up neatly and nice and crisply. And again, always give it a road test. Done that up. That's on. That's off. Reaching under there, there's fuel coming through that now, or there's fuel in it. Nothing, bone dry, not even a smell. That's a perfect job. Well done. Let's pop the other screws of doom back in. So there we are, plug back into the battery winder, seat back on, that's it. That was easy. Project fuel tap. Piece of cake, you can do that yourself. It's that easy. It took probably 15 minutes in real time and is not a hard job at all. If you took it to the main dealer, they'd probably charge you 60 or 70 pounds for an hour's labour, or what is their unit hour rate, plus the VAT, plus the kit itself. Now naturally the genuine Suzuki Park kit would probably cost a great deal more money and probably be the same kit exactly. And I bet you it wouldn't come with a scream. So there we go. I've got a new sticker today for the Hayabusa. I think it's going to make it go faster. So I'd like you to see that as well. So there you go. Thanks for tuning in and watching Delboy's Garage. That's been the fuel tap. If you've got any questions, stick them in the comments box and I'll see if I can help. Okay, take it easy, ride safe. I'll see you next time.